The main character of the story is Seki, a schoolboy who always takes care of his own business during class time. During class, her friend Rumi saw him pull out a bunch of erasers and pencils. Rumi advised Seki to focus on listening to the teacher, but Seki didn't care and motioned her to keep quiet. Rumi was surprised to see Seki doing a domino effect with erasers. While staring at Seki playing dominoes, Rumi was scolded by the teacher for not paying attention to the lecture. She accidentally startled Seki, dropping an eraser on the dominoes row on the table. But fortunately, Seki was able to stop them in time. Seki was sitting around during class while blaming Rumi for the incident, and he continued to sit and fold dominoes until he was able to do such a massive project. Rumi was worried when she saw that the last stop of the domino line was a firework. But before Seki could stop him, he pushed down the first eraser. The erasers fell down until they touched, hit the cannon trigger button. Rumi was worried that the firecracker would explode when it turned out that Seki was just imagining the explosion in her head. Rumi was scolded by her teacher again, so she reported Seki to him, but Seki quickly cleaned up all the erasers on her desk. The next day, Seki brought a set of shogi chess sets to class. Rumi was surprised to see him draw an entire chessboard on the board. Seki had calculated every single move for his board by himself, but for some reason, just entering the match, his king was broken in half. It turned out that the king was betrayed by a general. Moreover, the traitor put on the crown to usurp his throne, and some of former king's loyal generals called on the soldiers to fight the traitor. But they quickly fell into his trap. After taking command of the army, the traitor general dragged his army to fight with another country. But his entire army was completely surrounded by the enemy, so he quickly abandoned his contracts to run away alone. However, the old king was still not dead, so he went to the battlefield to lead the army against the enemy. But the traitor came back to continue stealing the king's throne. Rumi, sitting at the next table, was indignant at the traitor's infamous acts, and she used an eraser to shoot the traitor general out of the window to save the king. However, Seki was very angry at her interrupting action because she was having fun when she was suddenly interrupted. This time, Rumi was astonished that Seki didn't bring any toys to school. Until she looked closely, she saw that Seki was cleaning his desk, and he also brought out a bunch of detergents and polishes like a professional cleanser. First, Seki removed the stains that had stuck on the table for a long time. Next, he continued to polish the table surface to make it so glaring that it could be used as a mirror. However, after clearing the table, Seki had nothing else to do, that he insisted on polishing Rumi's table as well. She firmly refused because she didn't want her desk to turn into a mirror like Seki's desk. Seeing Seki sad because he had nothing to do, Rumi kindly lent him her board, and he cleaned her board until it was shiny as a mirror. However, the board was already subjected to statics, electricity due to much friction, so it made the hair stand. The next day, Seki again brought a set of gold to class to play, and since he didn't know the rules of the game, Rumi was sure she could concentrate on his teacher's lecture today. However, somehow Seki plays chess and then shows the image of a bear and a rabbit, and Rumi sees a bear fighting a rabbit, leading her to wonder if the pros played chess like that. Rumi tried hard to concentrate on the lecture but ended up drawing a rabbit and bear in her notebook. After a moment of intense concentration, Seki made the two animals fuse together while watching Seki play chess. Rumi was warned by her teacher for not paying attention to the lecture, so she accused Seki to him, but Seki had already cleaned his desk. Rumi had to show the teacher the proof of the drawing in her notebook. Therefore, the teacher just thought that she was drawing in the notebook instead of writing the lesson. Today, Seki brought a small knife to class to carve something on her eraser, and Rumi saw him making a stamp with his name on it. Right after that, Seki drank his seal into a cylinder, and he put inside another eraser, so from the outside it looked like a normal eraser. However, the boy sitting next to him thought it was a real eraser, so he borrowed it, and the eraser and the seal with Seki's name inside were broken into pieces. Seki was very distressed because the seal he worked so hard for was broken by his friend. Busy watching Seki do her own thing, Rumi didn't have time to transcribe the teacher's lecture. Seki's school was about to hold a rehearsal in case of earthquake. But Seki didn't care about the teacher instructions and just plays the robot. And he even created a whole family of robots. When the school's warming bell rang, all the students in the class were already under their desks, and Seki didn't care about the rehearsal at all. On the other hand, his robots performed the rehearsal seriously. Next, all students would had to move outside the schoolyard, and the robot family had also strictly obeyed the alarms signal. While gathered outside in the schoolyard, Seki happily talked to a boy. However, he accidentally kicked the entire robot family away, so Rumi decided that she would take care of the entire robot family. In the next class, Rumi let the robot family read books, and it seemed that Seki didn't enjoy the scheme that much. Rumi saw a lot of classmates drawing handwriting letters to each other, and when she looked over at Seki's desk, Rumi saw about letters on his desk. Right after that, Seki threw Rumi a letter sent to her by a friend, Hashino. In the letter, Hashino told her that Seki was currently working as a post office delivering mail to any students in class. Rumi took this opportunity to write a letter to complain about Seki constantly working alone in class. But her letter was returned by Seki because it was prescribed size. Moreover, before sending it back, Seki also charged one for the information related to the letter. However, Rumi had just finished filling it out when Seki closed the post office and didn't accept mail anymore. And Rumi found out that Seki even made a mailbox for late senders. So she put her letter inside. Unexpectedly, after school, Seki went straight home without even checking the mailbox. Seki continued to bring shogi to class, and Rumi was surprised to see him giving a bone to fight the entire board. He even added a chess piece named Princess standing with the pawn. Rumi realized that this was a love story between a lowly soldier and a highly princess, and that the soldier was currently finding the king to escape with the princess, but the soldier was quickly surrounded by the king's army. However, the princess went to the soldier's side and vowed to be husband and wife forever. Thanks to the princess' love, he was able to break through the siege of the soldier, but they took the princess hostage to make the soldier surrender. Rumi couldn't continue to watch the sad ending of the story, but she suddenly picked up a piece at her feet, and she discovered that the piece was that soldier's father. Determined not to let the love story between the soldier and the princess have a sad ending, Rumi planned to flip the father over to the skilled dumb. But this time Seki was more cautious. He used a notebook to block. Soon after, Seki lined up all the pieces on the board in a solid defense, but Rumi still doubled his entire formation, and the father finally succeeded in rescuing his son. The next day, Seki brought wool back to class to knit during class. Rumi felt very curious as she was also a skilled knitter. However, Rumi was surprised to discover that Seki's knitting rod was a double-ended knitting rod, and that knitting rod could only be used by professional knitters. At first, Rumi thought that Seki was knitting a stuffed toad, but after a while, she noted that he was knitting a cactus. Looking at mini cactus, Rumi suddenly felt fluttering, so she asked Seki's permission to take care of the baby cactus. But Seki quickly removed all the wool because he thought she would report to the teacher. Rumi saw Seki pull out a tiny golf ball to play golf, and the holes were the little holes on the table. He even used a stick to aim like a bow. Her friend Goto, sitting in the back, saw Rumi looking at Seki very intently, so she thought that Rumi was having feelings for Seki. At this moment, Seki was about to kick the ball all the way to Rumi's territory, and when the ball was almost in the hole, Rumi accidentally pushed the ball out while passing the document back to Goto. Seki was furious after that incident, so Rumi sincerely apologized to him. When the two bent down to find the ball that had dropped earlier, Goto mistakenly thought that the two of them were hiding under there to sneak up on each other. In today's class, Seki pulled out a British cute white bear, making Rumi's young girl's heart flutter about the cuteness of the bear. Baby white bear was used by the killers to look at something, and it turned out that what the white bear was looking at was the brown bear. The brown one was trying to climb onto the back of the boy sitting in front, and Seki was using a rope to pull the bear up. Everyone was standing at the bottom watching with a great tension. Because they were worried about the brown bear, the boy shook his body and caused the brown bear to fall out of the window. But luckily Seki still managed to hold the rope and pull the bear back up. Seki continued to want to attack the brown bear to the front boy's shirt, but the boy tried to throw Seki a critical look. If you didn't study, let someone else be. Rumi was surprised because it was the first time she saw Seki seated intensively studying, but when she looked closely, it turned out that he was sitting for a driving test. And right after that, Seki put it on driving test back on the desk. Seki used a toy car for a practice test, and he drove the car at an extremely slow speed for safety. But unexpectedly, when trying to climb a slope, his car flipped backwards, so Seki failed his first practice exam. However, after a day of practice until he injured one of his fingers, Seki decided to take the test one more time, and this time he successfully passed the practice test. Seki even made himself a homemade driver's license. However, because he was so happy and accidentally raised his diploma, making the teacher think that he wanted to raise his hand, Seki brought Rumi with a driver's license to ask her to teach him, but Seki still forced Rumi to take a driving test in order to receive his license. So Rumi flatly refused to not only teach Seki anymore. Today, Seki class would have a first aid lesson in case of drowning. Although Seki didn't care about his class, his three robots take their practice seriously. Rumi was angry when Seki abandoned the three robots to jump into the pool to play with her friends. So she arranged for them to have a mini pool to rest. But one of the boys picked up the yellow robot and threw it into the pool. Seeing the robot stuck in the Goto's hair, Rumi immediately swam towards her, but Seki accidentally saw the robot before her. Right after that, Seki arranged for those three robots to play a game of pickling melon together. Rumi didn't know that Seki took the robot away, so she was still looking for it in the swimming pool. During lunch, Rumi was delighted to see Seki's bento box, and he made the sausage look like a toast. But he ate the sausage brutally. In the bento box was still another bunch of octopus-shaped sausage, and they tried to save their brothers from Seki. But Seki punched the three octopuses with his chopsticks and ate them all at once. Rumi looked at Seki now like a doll titan from some anime. This time he encountered an octopus armed with extremely powerful armor. He heartily enjoyed it. It seemed that Seki was full, so he decided not to eat anymore, and Rumi was overjoyed that there were still four octopus left. However, Seki shared those octopus with his friends, and he even offered his teacher a bunch of rabbits peeled from apples. In art class, Seki pulled out a set of paper sumo toys. Since Rumi took a sick day, Goto was the one who would be watching Seki's game. Seki had a sumo guy in a purple pants fighting a sumo robot. After a tense battle, the purple pants were defeated. However, Seki bandaged the purple pants sumo's wounds, and the robot one was now equipped with a tank-like leg. So the robot sumo easily crushed the purple pants one. Goto, sitting in the back, saw that face and thought that Seki was arguing with Rumi. So he pulled out his jealous game. While confused, she hit Rumi's chair right next to Seki. Seki thought Rumi had died of a fever and appeared to remind him to study, so he quickly put away all his toys. During the projector lesson, Seki again pulled out his shogi set to play. This time, he played Japanese shogi against Western chess. However, when the teacher turned off all the lights, the whole room turned to darkness. Rumi saw the shogi formation being completely overwhelmed by the chess armies. She also realized that the black chess formation was lurking in the dark to defeat the shogi. Rumi wanted to have the shogi pieces by flicking the eraser like before, but the room was so dark that she couldn't see any pieces. However, Seki didn't understand how the shogi pieces that had been defeated came back, and it turned out that Rumi picked them up from the ground and put them back on the board. But Seki thought it was a ghost. As a result, he quickly cleared his board. Rumi gloated because she finally managed to get Seki to stop doing her own thing, but her skirt was accidentally pressed on by Seki's chair. The next day, Seki suddenly blindfolded himself in the classroom, and Rumi realized that he was playing a face-matching game. Seeing Seki make an anomalous face, Rumi laughed a little loudly in class, and somehow he managed to make a complete face. Seki even chose a hairstyle for this man, but he chose a bunk hairstyle instead of a nicer one. And the man also had a wife and a son. Rumi was surprised to see that child growing up day by day, and their family seemed to be living a very happy life together. Until when the child reached high school, Seki made the son become a gangster like his father at his young age. Rumi realized that, due to the lack of parental love, the child had become a gifty, and she tried to blow a breath to bring this family closer together. She accidentally blew straight into Seki's hand. Today, Seki brought to class a deck of playing cards to show Rumi, but she refused to pay attention to Seki so she could focus on the letter. Seki repeatedly performed a bunch of magic tricks to get Rumi's attention. When she turned the next page, Rumi was surprised to see the eight of diamonds in it. She got angry shortly after and crinkled Seki's card, which made him burst into tears. However, for some reason, the ace of diamonds just now got on the guy's pants, and the checkered ace that Rumi crumbled earlier turned into the six of spades. In the end, the class ended while Rumi still hadn't finished copying the lesson. It's hard to understand why Seki was wearing glasses today. He seemed to care a lot about his appearance, even trying to pose as a model. Right after that, Seki put out a bunch of glasses on his desk, and he tried them on, but still couldn't seem to find the right one. Wearing black glasses frames look very clever. This one looks like a celebrity and the red one looks like the superheroes in the movie. Although she pretended not to care, Ruby was very upset when Seki chose the classes she didn't like, until Seki chose the black rim classes that Rumi accepted. When he put it on, Seki looked like a real intellectual. Although Rumi took the trouble to choose classes for Seki like that, after that day Seki didn't wear classes again. This time, Seki pulled out his book to draw on it, and it looks like he spent a lot of time drawing it. After drawing, Seki also pulled out a tape recorder to voice over, and seeing how he worked like a professional anime producer. During recess, Dumi peeked through his book towards the end. Dumi also hears an anime sound that usually only appears in anime series, but she discovered that the song was a song from a toy airplane promotional video. Rumi had been called to the principal's office by the teacher because her performance had recently dropped significantly, and Rumi knew that the main reason was because Seki was constantly working on her own in class, causing her to lose focus. The school decided today to check the bags of all students, and Rumi wanted to use the opportunity to denounce Seki. But when she saw the robot family, she relented and reminded Seki to quickly hide them. After thinking about it for a while, Seki used a box to hang all his toys outside the window, and the robot family still didn't know where to hide. Seki had come up with a way to have the robot mother and daughter hide in the bento box, and the robot father climbs behind his chair. The teacher didn't find anything in Seki's bag, so Seki got out of it. And he found a CD in Rumi's bag. Rumi borrowed the disc from a classmate, but she forgot it because she was worried about Seki's robot family, and the teacher confiscated the CD forever. Thank you for watching this video about this anime series. I would leave other videos at this channel. Don't forget to press the subscribe button along with the bell button to receive notifications when my channel releases new videos.